Hey, one more thing before you go. What if the energy that you thought was gone forever could be rebuilt from the inside out? What if the life you've been living to the minimum could be transformed into the life lived to the max? In this week's episode of One More Thing Before You Go, I sit down with Adrienne Simmons, health and wellness coach, solo entrepreneur, and self-proclaimed Energizer bunny, which I love that, to explore how she went from rock bottom fatigue to radiant vitality. And we're going to show you how you can achieve that as well. So please stay tuned. I'm your host, Michael Herst. Welcome to One More Thing Before You Go. After years of lifestyle choices that drained her energy and dimmed her spark, Adrienne found herself facing a terrifying truth. If she didn't change, her future might disappear before her eyes. But change she did through divine intervention, deep research, and a radical mindset shift. Adrienne beta tested her way through a sustainable energy to rebuild her body from the cellular level and reclaim her joy, something we all should have the opportunity to do. Today, she's on a mission to help everyday people. Let me try that one again. She is on a mission to help everyday people, entrepreneurs, caregivers, and professionals, and active retirees wake up with purpose and show up with power. We all want purpose. This episode dives into the emotional, physical toll of chronic fatigue and brain fog, the spiritual turning point that sparked Adrienne's transformation, how our bodies and minds shift as we enter our 50s, and what to do about it, the principles behind Adrienne's energy rebuilding program, and why sustainable energy isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, and spiritual. And I am happy to introduce my next guest, Adrienne Simmons.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, audience.
Well, what a journey you've been on. I mean, I've explored your background just a little bit. That's the cop in me, just a little wee bit. And you got an amazing journey. I think that what you've brought to the world is a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to kind of reinvigorate ourselves and kind of ignite and find some purpose in our lives again, and so forth. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. Thank you for being here.
And thank you so much for saying yes to me being a guest on your show.
Well, I like to start at the beginning. So, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Le Belle Province of Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
Do you have any brothers, sisters, siblings?
Yes, I have one sister a year older than me, and I have two brothers, and one lives in the States, and the other two are still in Montreal. And I am living in the fair city of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, currently.
Well, I think our Canadian friends to the north, thank you. We appreciate you very much. Um, Today's chaotic world and what's going on in this chaotic world, I want you to know that, hey, we love you guys.
And we love you as well, our Southern family partners.
Family partners is that's a good phrase. I love that phrase. What'd you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted initially to be a veterinarian because I've
Oh,
always loved animals. I still love animals. But as I moved through my first year of college, obviously veterinarian is going to be a lot of science-based courses. I flunked out on every single one. So prior to starting my second year, it's like, okay, what am I going to do now? Obviously, sciences aren't my thing, so I'm not going to be a veterinarian. You go to the guidance counselor, you do behavioral based tests, and basically what was revealed is I am more naturally a communicator in sales and marketing and public relationships and customer service. Changed my discipline. I excelled the next 4 years, and basically I graduated with retail management business administration certification.
well, you're just taking care of a different kind of animal.
Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly,
Exactly.
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 You describe yourself as like an energizer bunny. I like energizer bunny. Like that acronym a little bit ago. What did energy mean to you back then, and has that kind of evolved? Because I know that and I'm not going to give away your age. But you, on some other conversations you've had, you mentioned that you've stepped past the 50 mark. I know from experience, stepping past the 50 mark, our energy levels drop drastically, and sometimes it's hard to get up off the couch and wander around and do stuff.
Well, your first question was, what did energy mean to me back then? It
Hmm.
didn't mean anything. I just thought that was just normal. I just thought that was who I was. And a lot of times in life, we don't realize what we have until we lose it. So for me growing up, I was just very active. And it was my friends who dubbed me the Energizer Bunny. When that commercial came out on TV, they equated it to me because from sunrise to sunset, I was just go, go, go. I was go, go, go. I could eat what I want to eat, drink what I want to drink, smoke what I want to smoke, and I was good to go. So they dubbed me the Energizer Bunny, and I accepted the title with, I laughed and I said, oh, okay, you guys, you're right. I guess I'm energetic, even though I didn't see myself like that. I just thought that this was just normal.
Well, you have an immense amount of energy now that we can see. And so for those of us that you're listening, we absolutely can see it. So how has that definition evolved to you at this point in your life? How has that come about? Because I know, I mean, we all, when we're younger, we enjoy, well, we have endless energy. I used to work 12-hour shifts and it didn't bother me, kind of a situation. And now I'd rather sleep 12 hours than work 12 hours, you know?
Okay, so if I understand your question, you're asking me how did it evolve to today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you say that you had the energy from what I understand, you had all this energy, and then the energy kind of dwindled a little bit. You lost it, right?
Okay.
And then,
Okay.
so how did it take that dip? And then when you
Hmm.
realized it took the dip, it's kind of a
Hmm.
triple part question, I guess. When it took
Yeah,
that dip, how did that then evolve into where you're at now? Because you recognize that it took a dip.
I understand. Can I share my story? Because it's
Ab-
definitely kind of woven into my story. Fantastic.
Absolutely.
I like to start off with my story is titled Lost and Found. I was, like I said already, I was born with boundless energy. From the time I can remember, my 20s, my 30s, even into my late 40s, I was just go, go, go. I could do what I want to do, little sleep. What can I say? My body was just fully energized. And it's only when, in retrospect, when I think about it now, when I crossed over my 50-year line, I continued with the same behaviors, not realizing that our bodies can hold us up for so long. And after a while, if we don't make some well needed health shifts, our bodies are going to start to break down in a way where we're going to feel it in physical manifestation. So, what I'm trying to say is for me, when I crossed over my 50-year line, I was still working full time. I was still eating a lot of processed food. I was still smoking cigarettes. I was still smoking weed. But what really happened for that shift is I was a single mother. I was a single mother from the time that my daughter was about 3 years old. So we always lived together. So I always had a reason to come home. I have a responsibility. My daughter, take care of her, make dinner. We did a lot of things together. And then she goes away to university when she is 18. So it's the first time that I am now on my own and not having to care for anybody. For me, what that looked like was boredom. I would come home from work and I realized, oh, I don't have anybody to care for. I didn't know then what I know now, create my own activities to bring me joy. But back then, because I was only wrapped up in caring for my daughter, it's like, what am I going to do now? It's 6 o'clock. What am I going to do? I'm wide awake. I'm not tired. So I would like pace my house up and down. And then I realized after a while, you know what? I'm just not going to come home after work. So initially it started with leaving work, just going out for dinner. But then I'm still back home at 9. But because I'm such a high energy body person, at 9 o'clock, I'm still not ready to sleep and I'm pacing the house. How do I alleviate that? Oh, okay. Well, I discovered that after a restaurant, there are some clubs you can go to. So I would leave the restaurant at 9 and I would maybe go to a club, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever, hang out till about 11, 11:30, and then kind of come home. That was fine. I'm ready to bed. But what happens is when you are in certain environments, you get introduced to other things. And that's when I was introduced to something called an after hour. And I guess it's clubs that you can go to after midnight, and it goes from midnight to 6 in the AM. So I started checking out after hours. But with that came a lot of drinking. I started indulging in illicit drugs. And then obviously at 6 a.m., I'm hungry now. So I'm going to McDonald's. I'm going to Wendy's. But remember, I also have to be at work for 9 a.m. So I'm leaving work, going to a restaurant, going to a club, going to an after hours, and maybe running home quickly, quick shower, and then I'm heading back to work. Long story short, you continue this behavior month after month after month, year after year, your body is going to say, you know what, as much as I love you, I can't do this anymore. You're not giving me any fuel of decent food. You're not drinking any water. We're not getting any sleep. You're not getting outside in sunshine. And my environment was all individuals who were into the same thing as me, partying, drinking, and drugging. So all of that eventually took a toll on my beautiful body, on my energy levels. And I'm going to say at my worst, out of 10, with 10 being, I feel like Superwoman and I can conquer anything, to 1 being, you're lucky if I can drag out of bed. On my worst days, I was lucky if I could drum a 2 or 3 out of 10. I don't know how my boss didn't realize something was going on at work. I don't know how my colleagues didn't realize something was going on. Thank God my daughter was away at school, because I could never allow her to see me in that condition. Whenever she would come home for, the holidays, I was able to kind of stop it and put it on pause. Because she's home now, I have a reason to come home after work. And then bam, they go back to university after Christmas holiday, after Thanksgiving. They always go back. And for me, because I didn't find a way to keep myself entertained in a healthy way, it was easy for me to go back into that environment. Let's kind of get to the crux of my story.
Right.
Every year,
if I can stop it just for 1 second, please. So, from this perspective, I was looking from the outside in, and especially from my previous profession and growing up with both my parents were alcoholics. Not saying that you were, of course, but in that environment where they were partying all the time. We had parties at night, they had parties at the house, they would go out drinking all the time, they go out to the clubs all the time. Both my parents would do this. We grew up as kids watching this. So I know that, back then, it wasn't as prevalent to kind of to recognize that. It was like society and culture just kind of accepted it within that realm. What led you? What moment did you realize that lifestyle was leading you towards maybe something like a dangerous future or an uncertain future or something along that line? Can I ask that question real quick?
Absolutely. I was just going to segue into that. So every year, I was always mindful about doing my yearly physicals. So again, I'm probably maybe 54, 55. It's the fall. I go in for my physical. Because I had been with that medical practitioner for years, he knew me quite well. And as soon as I walked into the office, he goes, Adrienne, you look terrible. What's going on? And I'm thinking, remember, you don't notice the changes in you, but those who haven't seen you for a while. So I said, what are you talking about? He said, you look like you've gained weight. I'm noticing the bags under your eyes. You don't have that same pep in your step, and your complexion looks dull. What's going on? Now, Michael, I'm not going to tell my doctor I was just out till 6 o'clock in the morning doing what I'm doing. So we make up whatever. Oh, you know what? It's work. I got all these projects going on at work. I don't worry about it. He goes, Adrienne, I am worried because I've never seen you like this. Let's do some tests and see if there's something else that might be going on. I said, yeah, no problem. Do what you got to do. because my tests always came in positively. I'm confident. I'm not connecting my behavior with the ultimate results I may get. Results come in 2 weeks later. He goes, Adrienne, you sit down. I said, what do you mean sit down? You've never said to sit down before. He goes,
Wow.
Adrienne, based on the tests, unfortunately, you are pre diabetic. You are like one step over from being full blown diabetic. Now, Michael, the reason why that hit me is because my father died from his diabetes in his mid 60s.
Mm.
So if I'm mid 50s, Michael, the only thing I'm thinking of is, you mean I might be dead in 10 years? That's all I'm
Mm.
thinking about. And it's like, oh, okay. He goes, Adrienne, you need to make some changes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, we say, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we go out the office. You know, Michael, that same evening, I was back doing what I'm doing. Because even though, yes, he's told me that reality, I'm still bored and I want what I want. And what I want is an immediate kind of, I need to suppress that feeling of, I may die in 10 years. Let me go and do what I have to do. Okay. It came to an end a few months after that. So, like I said, this was maybe October, November. The following January, Michael, I remember it as if it was yesterday. It was an absolutely bitterly cold winter in Toronto that year. It was so cold, Michael. It took me 10 minutes just to layer up to get dressed, just to go and sit in my garage and smoke a cigarette and smoke a joint. And Michael, I remember it was a Sunday. It was that January. And I'm sitting there with my gloves are off because you know I can't smoke with two pieces of fire in my hand. I'm smoking a cigarette here. I'm smoking a marijuana joint here. And Michael, I broke down. I don't know where it came from, but the tears just flowed from me. It's like it was pent up inside, waiting to come out. And for some reason, on that particular Sunday, enough was enough. Enough was enough. Michael, I don't know how long I sat there and cried in that bitterly cold, freezing garage. I think my cigarette kind of burnt out and it brought me back to my senses. And all I said is, you know what, God? I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. I don't want to do this, but I don't know how to get off of this madness. It's like, you know, the wheel a mouse is on and it goes around and around. I didn't know how to get off the wheel, Michael. On Monday, it would be, okay, I'm going to be good this week. I'm going to go for a walk and I'm not going to go out and I'm going to come home because I know that my daughter's counting on me. But Michael, I might maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. By Thursday, the itch was so bad, I'm back again Thursday. So it was a maddening wheel from Monday to Monday to Monday. And I said, God, I need your help. I need divine intervention. Please help me come to an end of this madness. So I finished my cigarette. I went back in the house, Michael, and went to bed. You know what? Up to today, Michael, I will say that for me, it was divine intervention because I noticed over the next few weeks, I didn't seem to have that same urge to go out every night. I didn't seem to have that same urge to drink. I didn't seem to have that same urge to smoke a joint or to indulge in some of the illicit drugs I was indulging in. Instead, I found myself more curious about how do women's bodies change as we cross over our 50-year line. So I started doing a lot of research online, trying to understand, well, what happened to my energy? Like, what is it that I am doing? What is it that I'm eating that could be robbing me of my energy? Because yeah, I knew that I was always vital, and I knew that my body felt heavy. It felt lethargic. My brain, you know, in the afternoon, I couldn't think. I had to go and let me get a coffee and let me get a coffee. And the only way I could survive and move through my day was through outside stimulants. And it was usually coffee or a donut, just something to give me that quick kind of sugar, kind of a jolt. But as I continued with the research, I'm realizing, oh, okay, so it's because I'm not getting enough rest. that my body is not allowing me to be more functional the next day. Oh, it's because I'm not eating more fruits and vegetables that my body is not getting the fuel it needs. And every time I eat McDonald's or nachos or a pizza, I'm not fueling my body with what it needs to give me the activity that I need. Oh, it's because I'm indoors all the time or out in a nightclub and it's dark, I'm not getting any sunshine. Oh, it's because I'm not moving my body, I'm not exercising, that I'm tired and I've gained all this weight because I'm not listening to my biology. Slowly but surely, Michael, over a 12-month period, I said, you know what, Adrienne? Why don't you create a nutritional plan for yourself based on the information that you're researching? Something that's applicable to maturing women. So I used myself as a beta test. I created a nutritional plan. I created an exercise plan. I moved away from the nightclub crowd. I connected with a network of mature women who were focused on living a healthier lifestyle. I went to bed earlier. I just did some of the basic health style requirements that we require as biological organism. And over a 12-month period, my energy slowly but surely, Michael, started to increase. And it's like, oh, yeah, I can do this. I feel better. I can do this longer. I can do more weights. I can do this a bit better. And over a 12-month period, by the time I got to that 12th month, Michael, again, looking at that scale from 1 to 10, Michael, I was back up to an 8 to a 9 to a 10 out of 10 with my vitality, sustainable from the time I woke up in the morning until the time I went to bed at night. I was able to reclaim my energy, and I'm still benefiting from sustainable energy up until today.
So it's an amazing opportunity for divine intervention to that little angel on your shoulder that happened to whisper in your ear or touch you in just such a way that it opened up your spirituality just a little bit more, and that door to healing yourself and understanding the purpose of listening to our bodies.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, it's a connection, mind body soul connection, and mind body soul connection is a way to heal. And once we understand how to connect them sequentially and the way they need to be connected, it allows us to take that run, which you obviously did from that perspective.
Absolutely.
It's interesting. I have to smile just a little bit with you beta tested yourself. That was a unique approach to.
I had to start with me. I had to start with me. I wasn't planning on working with anybody else. But for me, it's funny. People ask me, but why then, Adrienne? Yes, you got the news from your doctor, but why then do you feel that you started making a change? And I realize now is because my daughter was finished university and she was coming home soon. And it's like, you know what? There is no way, Michael, I would ever allow my daughter to see me in that condition. I was always the kind of person that, on TV, when you hear kids are asked, who is your role model? And they might say my mom or my dad. I always wanted my daughter to say my mom. You see, if I continued along those veins, why would she ever want to be like me? So my why was, I want my daughter to be absolutely proud of her mom. Number two, Michael, I love to travel. It was always my plan. I want to travel, and I don't want to travel in pain. I don't want to travel kind of with help. I want to travel with full vitality, whether I want to climb mountains, whether I want to swim, whatever I want to do. I want to enjoy any travel that I do to the max. And number three, Michael, and I know you're going to laugh. People laugh all the time. Do you remember an actress by the name of Betty White?
Of course, I love Betty. Everybody loves Betty White.
Beautiful. We all know that Betty White died at 99, and up until the end, Michael, she was still co-producing and acting. And for me, she was always my role model. And I said, Adrienne, you know what? You're going to be just like Betty White. At 99, you're going to be full of vitality and full of energy and full of activeness. Michael, I cannot, God rest her soul, I am not going to disappoint Betty White. And so all three of those whys were why I said, this is it. We're doing it now. We're doing it now.
Yeah, you picked a great person to model yourself after. Yeah, we love Betty White. I've been watching. We as a family have been watching. So all generations we've been watching. Between
Yeah.
myself, I'm an older individual. Um, Myself, my wife, our daughters. We love Betty White from many years ago. Well, at least two generations, two and a half generations, some thereabouts. So yeah, I love Betty White and what she has stood for. So your principles basically were designed and set up in such a way, I think, that our children give us motivation every day. We just have to watch
Yes.
for it and look for it. Our children
Yes.
give us the opportunity for us to be better ourselves, not just to wish that they're better than ourselves, that we can be that model to
That's
better
right.
ourselves as well. In addition, so yeah, I think that that's a great story, great story, and damn it, Betty White. I mean, what better person to model that after?
My girl. That's my girl.
How do I? Yeah, I love. We love the clips where they were showing the. I love the bloopers from the different shows that she was
Oh,
in,
yeah.
and that she'd make everybody crack up and laugh.
I
We always
know.
want to smile. We go back and watch those constantly. So, but we have to answer some questions for our people, right? How do we were talking about mind, body, soul. We were talking about getting that connection and the realization that you had. How do our bodies, our minds, and our emotions change the way we move into our 50s? I did it. You did it. My wife has done it. Those of us, or those of these individuals that are approaching 50, and I would say beyond, or those of us that have gone over 50 could utilize the same tips and strategies for us to recognize what we need to do as an individual to sustain our energy or to rebuild our energy. What steps do you think we should take in order to either prepare for it or look back and redefine ourselves with it?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. What I've learned, since my own beta test and, with some of the people that I've worked with, we are still human, and it's very easy for us to fall back into patterns that, we've been accustomed to, patterns that make us comfortable. Our brains, our minds will always want us to reach for comfort as opposed to something that's going to take more effort. So, what I like to always start off with, especially those individuals who are maybe in their 30s and 40s and maybe even early 50s, and they know that I'm seeing my parents and I'm seeing my grandparents and they're in pain and they're not living a vital life. I don't want that for my life. What can I start doing now in my 30s and 40s and even into my early 50s? I always say, anchor it with a why. Why do you want more energy? Why do you really want more energy? Because on those days when, maybe you've had a bad day and it's like, I can't be bothered to go home and eat something healthy. Maybe somebody has pissed you off. We automatically reach for something that's going to make us feel better. And that has a tendency to be processed foods or smoking or drinking, whatever it is. So even for me now, absolutely, years later, I will still kind of get those triggers where, oh, you know, let me just kind of stop by at McDonald's. But then my anchor is, but hold on, Adrienne, though. I have people that are counting on me. I have people that are looking at me for support as well too. And at the end of the day, I know that my body really doesn't want that. I want it. The ego, Adrienne, wants it. But when you look at my body and my spirit, they don't want McDonald's. They don't want a cigarette. They don't want alcohol. Adrienne wants it. So what I teach anybody that ever comes to me is your why. Why do you want this? And number two, start looking at your whole self, your spirit, your mind, your feelings, and your physical body. And before you make any decision, just ask yourself, is this going to benefit my whole self, or is it going to benefit my ego? And whatever answer you come up with, move with that answer. Sometimes it's going to be, you're right, it's for me. I want McDonald's. Sorry, self, I want McDonald's. But a lot of times we don't make that connection between our whole self. We just think about ourselves because they don't teach us that in school. Making decisions should reflect from your spirit to your mind to your feelings to your physical body. Is it going to benefit your whole self? Because if you are the kind of person that wants to live a life of vitality and abundance and activeness, you have to realize you have to be a partner with your whole self and not selfish only about you. So that would be my core message to anybody that is looking to just live a life with a little bit more kind of vitality. Figure out, why do you want it? Because your why will anchor you on some of your harder days. And then think about building a partnership with your whole self and ask yourself those key questions before you make any decisions. It's going to take time because, remember, for years, it's always been about my ego. What do I want? What do I want? So it's going to take a while for you to get into the mindset of, oh yeah, okay, whole self, what do you want? For me to have this beer and this whole plate of nachos, body, do you want it? Of course your body doesn't want it. Of course your cells don't want it. Of course your mind doesn't want it. You want it. So you have to decide, is it about my ego or is it about my whole beautiful self that has held me up from the day I was born?
Well, I think that perspective is perfect because, I mean, reality, we can, that analogy works for so many things. Alcohol, food, exercise. I mean, even if you can overdo exercise,
Absolutely.
exercise addictions, any type of addiction that we have out there,
Yes.
I think that gives us an opportunity to kind of reflect upon that, to say, hey, I can make a
Yes.
change. The possibility exists in the change. I have to make a choice. And I
Yes.
think choice is the key word. We have to make a choice. Do we,
Yes.
succumb to it, or do we make the choice to move away from it and forward in a different way, or to somehow change that choice into something that is positive? I think
Yeah.
so. It's great the way you say that.
Yeah. And, just to piggyback on what you're saying, yes, we know we have a choice. We always have that choice. But for us to really make any noticeable differences in our behaviors and habits, it's got to go back to the why. Why do I want to
Mm.
make a change in my behavior? Why do I want to change my identity? Really, it starts with the identity. The identity is the root, and the branches are the habits, and the fruits that come from the branches are the rewards to you. So if you really want to make any noticeable changes in your life, I always like to tell people it has to start from the inside.
Yeah.
It's got to start from the inside. Outside can be so superficial, but inside is where we truly divinely kind of come from. And inside will not lie to us. If we really listen to our inside, our spirit has our best interest at heart.
Absolutely. Yeah, words to live by. Words to live by for sure. We were talking about sustainable energy. Once we understand that connection that you were just speaking about, that we were just speaking about, we understand that connection. How can we? There, a better question is, what does sustainable energy look like? I guess in real life now, and if we can recognize it, if we're not doing it already, how can we begin to recognize it and utilize it today?
So, what does it look like? It's going to look different for everybody. For me, what it looks like is anything that I want to do throughout my day, I'm doing it fully engaged, fully alert, and fully participating in it. And I'm doing it with a feeling of I feel light, I feel joy, I feel empowered, and I feel I can keep on going if I have to. So, for example, I work a full time job. So I wake up, and absolutely, I wake up alert because I've given myself the sleep that my body has told me that she needs. As soon as the sun sets, and my melatonin kicks in. Because I have learned to listen, Michael, to my body, Michael, I start to feel drowsy. And before, you fight it. You fight it. You're back on the phone, or you're scrolling, or you're watching TV, or you're doing whatever. Now, because I know that I have chosen to partner with my body's energy kind of source, I will go to bed because I know the next day my body rewards me with the energy I need. So what it looks like for me is from the time I wake up, Michael, I'm fully alert, I'm engaged, I'm going to work, no problem. I drive an hour, good to go throughout my day, Michael. I still have the same amount of energy. I'm still participating at the same level. But you see, Michael, throughout my day, I listen to my body and I keep on fueling my body, refueling. Because, Michael, every physical movement that we engage in, energy is being depleted. So we have to continually replenish our energy. And how do we do that, Michael? Most people at lunchtime, Michael, they walk from their desk and they go sit for an hour in the lunchroom. Oh, not Adrienne. I eat at my desk, and Michael, for my hour, I'm outside in the sunshine. I'm walking for an hour. Throughout my day, Michael, I've got my cup, I got my water here. Every hour on the hour, Michael, I'm drinking my 8 hours. As well, too, for me, just because I choose to, every hour on the hour, Michael, I push away from my desk and I get up and I do jumping jacks. I'll march on the spot. I basically will boost my energy throughout my day because I know I'm using my thought process takes energy, my feelings take energy, and my physiology. So I need to remember my body is taking energy. I need to replenish it as well too. So for me, it's a give and take. And that's why I call it a partnership. When I leave work, Michael, yeah, I'm stuck in traffic for an hour and a half, and that depletes a lot of individuals. But I know I'm going to the gym. I work out, Michael, I'm reboosting my energy again. I come home, I have a healthy meal, and that's why when the sun sets and the melatonin kicks in, my body says, you know what, Adrienne, it's time to sleep. So I have learned to listen to my body. When my body says, Adrienne, I'm thirsty, before we push it off, I'm busy, I got to get this email done. Now I don't care what I'm doing, Michael. I stop, she says she's thirsty, I'm going to drink. If I'm working and my body says, Adrienne, get up and go walk down the hall. Michael, I'm getting up and I'm walking down the hall because my body is saying, Adrienne, I'm stiff. You've been sitting in front of this computer. We need to get up and move around, Adrienne, because you've depleted all that energy over the last 2 hours working on the computer. Let's reboost your energy again. So my body knows at the beginning of every day, my major goal is I'm going to build a healthy energy body today. So you remember, Michael, what you tell yourself, you manifest. So throughout the day, my mind is saying, well, Adrienne, when you woke up this morning, you said you wanted to build a healthy energy body. This is what we need to do throughout today to build a healthy energy body. And that is my principle that I teach my clients. It's about every day building a healthy energy body, especially if you want to have a phenomenal day, Michael, fully engaged, fully alert, fully present, and fully empowered.
Well, I think it's safe to say that those mindset shifts of your own helps you go from energy level of 1, 2, and 3 all the way up to 8, 9, 10, and maybe 11. I'm seeing 11 here, Adrienne. I'm seeing 11.
Thank you.
How do you help others move to survive, from surviving to like thriving, especially if they feel stuck in a fog or stuck in chronic fatigue is like terrible. I've suffered from myself in the past, and it's hard to get past that.
Yeah. For me, what I'm realizing, what seems to work for me is showing up as a role model, as a healthy energy body individual, especially for a lot of my colleagues and friends who are younger than me. It's like, wow, you are older than us, Adrienne, and you are like an energizer bunny. You are motivated. You are inspiring. Okay, okay, Adrienne, today, you know what I'm going to do? Can I go out and walk with you at lunchtime? Or Adrienne, you know what? What are some of the foods that you eat though? For me, it seems to be people are inspired when they actually see the live Adrienne. Because at the end of the day, everybody goes home to their own home. So you have to have your own inner strength in figuring out, okay, I can't just do it for one day. I want it long term and sustainable. I've known Adrienne for years and she's been like this for years. It's not like one day she's like this and one day she's all of a sudden fatigued. It's about wanting for yourself sustainable energy and willing to make the small shifts in your life to get maximum rewards. I like to tell people that, our bodies don't ask a lot of us, Michael, but our bodies pay us back 100-fold. All my body says is, Adrienne, can we maybe get 7 or 8 hours sleep? All my body says is, Adrienne, can we just drink a little bit more water? All my body says is, Adrienne, can we have more root foods? All my body says is, Adrienne, can we just go out in the sunshine? Michael, everything that is free and our bodies are rewarding us. Look how my body rewards me, Michael, and what did it cost me? I went out for a walk at lunchtime. I'm drinking water, Michael. I feel happy, Michael. And look how I'm rewarded. It's the greatest reward in life to know that you are showing up just fully present and alert, Michael, and alive. It's beautiful.
Absolutely, 110%. It is, especially getting back in touch with nature. I think is a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to connect with that, and that in itself will energize us to a
Yes.
very specific purpose. I love it. It brings me back. I grew up with a lot of Europeans around me, a lot of Europeans, family, and everybody that had moved from Europe to here, and they couldn't understand. Just this is along the same lines of what you're saying. They could not understand why Americans were like, dusk to dawn, constantly going, constantly going, constantly going. You're France, Italy,
Yeah.
they'll take a lunch and they take a
That's
45
right.
minute hour lunch but they don't go
That's
sit in
right.
front of a computer screen. They don't on their phone. The work doesn't call them. France is against the law to call your employee while they're on their lunch break. You can't
That's
text them
right.
or call them or anything so that
That's
they
right.
take time to regenerate, take time to breathe,
Yes.
go out and eat
Yes.
lunch outside, sit at the table underneath the
Yes.
tree, listen to the birds, go out in the morning, have a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, whatever you're drinking, a juice or and look at nature, look at the trees blowing,
Yes.
watch the leaves blow, watch the hummingbirds go, watch the birds and the bees, do their thing.
Absolutely.
It is
Absolutely.
it is an opportunity for us to reconnect from that perspective. I think a very basic
Absolutely.
opportunity
Absolutely.
with, like you said, an immense amount of reward on the back end of it. So
Yeah.
let's tell
Absolutely.
somebody. This conversation is going way too fast. Let's tell people how they can get in touch with you and what you have to offer them, please.
Yeah, absolutely. In the meantime, you can reach me directly using my email address, and that is Simmons, Simmons, 2020A at gmail.com. That's Simmons 2020A at gmail.com.
And what can you offer them when they get you?
Oh my goodness. What I will offer them is listening to where they feel that they are currently in their life. A lot of times, people don't have an opportunity to have others just really listen to them. Sometimes people just want to kind of share where they are. So for me, I am definitely, a beacon of anybody wanting to maybe just share where they are currently in their life and maybe where they envision they may like to be maybe next year or next month or a few years down the road. And, it all ties back into if only I wasn't so tired. If only I wasn't so fatigued. If only, I could shed, a couple more pounds, I'd be able to kind of maybe participate a little bit more in my life. So, once I understand where they are and where they want to be, from there, we can figure out how to slowly but surely, day by day, step by step, start rebuilding your own beautiful, precious body's energy. Because at the end of the day, our bodies are our best friend. They have our back and they only want the best for us. They ask so little of us and they want to reward us so immensely. So why don't you give your whole self the opportunity to show you how amazing you can really be if you partner with your whole self?
And I will make sure that everything is in the show notes for people to connect with you directly like that. And I mean, as a coach, what a wonderful way to coach people. What a wonderful way to give somebody a change in life or a positive change in life in such a way that it is going to be sustainable. So I think that's it's a wonderful opportunity. Again, this conversation has gone way too quickly. You'll have to come back on. We'll have to have another one.
Okay.
But
Okay, sure.
Before we leave, though, this is one more thing before we go. So do you have any words of wisdom for anybody listening right now that might feel like they're stuck or they've hit rock bottom and how they can come out of it? Great. I mean, words of wisdom.
Yeah. You know, my words to you would be, if you aren't living your life to the max, instead you're living your life maybe minimally, but you know there's something inside of you that's saying, it's not over, it's not over. I know I can do more. I know I've always wanted to do more, but maybe you've just lost your way. I lost my way. I lost my way for many years. You can. It's not over till it's over. I know everybody has heard that. It's not over till it's over. Find somebody that'll be in your corner, that'll hold your hand, that'll help you to climb back up.
Yep.
If that's what you really want, maybe I can be that person for you, but at least you know that I've walked in your shoes, so I know exactly how you're feeling right now. And you can definitely make tomorrow just a little bit more sunny with some small tweaks. Small tweaks. Your body is waiting for you, and your body is saying, you don't have to live your life to the min. Why not live your life to the max? Why not? Take your vitality off the table. Too many of us leave our vitality on the table, and it's just there. And it's just there. Your vitality wants to make your life spectacular. Take your vitality off the table. Let me help you do that.
Brilliant words of wisdom. I think we should all write that up, put it on the screen on the computer here, and look at it every time before we take our break outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Adrienne, thank you very much for sharing your words of wisdom. Thank you very much for sharing your journey and for what you bring to the world. I appreciate you very much.
Michael, thank you. Namaste.
Namaste to you as well. That's a wrap for today's episode. I hope you found it inspiring, motivating, and found a new perspective to take with you. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us. It helps us continue bringing you incredible stories and insights like the one we just had. And if you want to watch this episode, head over to YouTube, catch the full video version of it. We'd love to hear from you as well. If you have questions, show ideas, or think you'd make a great guest, reach out and let's connect. This show thrives because of this amazing community, and I appreciate each and every one of you for being part of it. It is a brilliant. Until next time, have a great day, an even better week. And remember, keep exploring, learning, and growing. And thank you for tuning in to One More Thing Before You Go.
Thanks for listening to this episode of One More Thing Before You Go. Check out our website at beforeyougopodcast.com. You can find us as well as subscribe to the program and rate us on your favorite podcast listening platform.